So there, we're recording. Thank you everyone for hopping on today to chat about an entree into a young living business. When I first came up, thought, let's do this class, or a meeting, event, whatever, and let's discuss it. My intention was different. And that was just, a couple times a year, I like to just share what's it like to have a young living business and what does that exactly mean? In the last few weeks, and I guess it's just in my own heart, and you all know me, and what I learn for myself, I just teach. It's how I learn. It's how, it's just my gifting, and it's just what I know. So I thought, why young living businesses? I've thought through this and prayed through it and talked to some of my leaders. They had their, you should talk about this and maybe discuss, how to do and the ins and outs. And I thought, but this says, when you guys look at your young living account, whether you work a young living business or you simply just use product, what you will see is it says an individual distributor. That's it. It's an individual membership. It's an individual business. So honestly, I could sit here for an hour and tell you how, I'll use my air quotes, how to do a young living business, and it may not resonate with any one of you, or it may resonate with all of you. It's really up to you. And so what I'm going to share with you today is why young living is different, but actually I'll back up. Why you would want to choose an entrepreneurial business anyway. I do believe, according to the scriptures, if you're someone who studies the scriptures, that it's actually mandated in scripture, especially for women, to have businesses. It's mandated for us to have several businesses, and I'll show you where. And there's a reason for that. And I think more than ever in our world now, we're seeing that's so important. And so I want to come and just share with you those things. And then also, why young living? And I say this to my leaders all the time. I say, guys, we don't sell leggings. No slam against anybody that does. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. But I can say to Terry, those leggings look so cute on you. And okay, sure. And if she needs another pair of leggings or feels like just pampering herself, she'll get them. But if I hold up abundance and say, Terry Woods, you need abundance, but you don't like the smell of it, now we've got a situation. And when we dive into young living, which we'll talk about, it's more than leggings. It's more than a basket. It's more than a cute sticker on your wall. It's a lifestyle. In the scriptures, in Ecclesiastes, I just had it pulled up. It's Ecclesiastes 11:1. It says, cast your bread upon the waters. After many days, you'll find it again. Divide into 7, maybe 8 portions, for you do not know what disaster may come upon the land. I've studied that scripture for a lot of years. And, it's not literal. A lot of scripture is literal. A lot of it is metaphorical. This is a metaphor. Our bread, when you talk about bread and seed, it's money. We talk about money. And it's talking about dividing it into 7, possibly 8 portions. And scholars will tell you that means dividing into 7, possibly 8 sources of income. That is so important in our world because you just don't know what may come upon the land. There are a lot of businesses now, small businesses, in the last 10 months, where are we in? November, I guess maybe 9 months, that have seen a huge downturn. They've poured their whole life into this business and they've lost it. Or folks who've been laid off, furloughed because of COVID. And that's hard. And yet when we study this, we say, well, knowing what we know, we can already have our eggs in multiple baskets. And what I have learned, and I've been teaching my children, is it doesn't have to be a global empire. When I come to you and talk to you or share with you about a young living business, please hear me. I'm not saying You all should be a Royal Crown Diamond, and you should all reach that top rank. That may not resonate with you. That's a lot of work. I'm just going to be straight up open with you. If you choose to do Young Living, it is a lot of work on that scale. Maybe your goal with Young Living is to earn your oils for free, your oils and supplements, so that you can with ease take any supplement your body needs or your family. You can be extra generous because you'll earn free product, and maybe have just a little nest egg, maybe a little savings. That could be your idea with Young Living. That could be part of one of your 7 or 8 portions. Maybe you're like my friends who were here and they own an arcade. They have a Young Living business. They own an arcade. They have several different things going to help generate income in case something else falls apart. And it's not a negative attitude. I always think about my grandpa. He'll say, "Oh, you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop," or what. It's not that. It's just wisdom. It's just business wisdom. We know in our world we have these ebbs and flows. Things fall in and out of vogue and in fashion. And, when you look at the stock market, if you follow Wall Street at all, one day's up, one day's down. And so you rightly assess, where do I need to put my eggs? Where do I need to scatter my bread, my seed? The second thing I wanted to share, and this is one of my gifts, one of my passions, is pulling out of people what they were designed to do in their mother's womb. If you have sat with me for even 5 minutes, I will begin to just ask, and just because it's just me, I like to pull out and just see, what are your gifts? What are your talents? Are you doing what God designed you to do? We all have these incredible gifts. And many people let them lay dormant for whatever reason, insecurities, or people told them they couldn't do it. But I like to pull it out. The beauty about Young Living is that all of us on here live on this call, all 7 of us have vastly different gifts and talents. Terry Martineau, we were talking the other day, and she said something about being, you said something about my personality, and just in the light of it's bold, or I can, and it probably sounds terrible the way I'm explaining, but it's very sweet, and I take it as a compliment. But that's my personality, and there's space for that in Young Living. And then you have Terry Martineau, who is quiet but super mighty. Don't let her quiet personality fool you. There is a mighty warrior under there, and there's space for that as well. My point of sharing that is that you don't have to be this upfront, outgoing, over-the-top personality, and you don't have to be a meek and mild, quiet personality. There's room for all of it. I had the privilege of hearing Gary Young speak several times on several occasions, and meeting Mary Young. Those two could not be more polar opposites, which is really cool. And with Gary, when I saw him speak from sitting on top of a horse or at the farm, was a different person than the one that I saw on stage. On stage, you could tell it was almost like he was doing this, like, oh, my tux is a little tight, and just, wanted to unbutton the belt buckle. I'm sure he had some Western one underneath that tux. But when he was on the horse, it was like, oh, I'm home. That's where we get Sacred Mountain from, by the way. If you didn't know, that was the inspiration behind that blend. Is he had to be in the city as Young Living grew and grew, and into Salt Lake City, but he felt at home in the mountains. And so you can see, if our founder was maybe a little bit of a fish out of water in certain parts of his business, it's okay if we all have those different personalities. Amy, I love that you shared you're struggling to find out your purpose, what sets your soul on fire. I'll just speak to that real quick, because I'm sure you're not the only one. And if you've ever in your life been told this is what you have to do. My husband is a gifted artist. And if you all, this is the pain that was in my office in Massachusetts, for those of you who are, would see me on those calls. And I'm looking at several paintings that he's done. And yet he was entered into a prestigious art school. He won a scholarship, and his parents wouldn't pay the rest because it wasn't a real school. And yet that is his gifting. It still is his talent. If you ever have the privilege of having my husband make you a sandwich, it's too pretty to eat. It's incredible. It's this work of art. Who he is, who God made him to be, oozes out of him. It's just he can't help it. And so in Young Living, if you hear about Young Living a little bit more and you think, you know what, this fits me. And for those of you who already have a team of people, I hope that you're taking notes to be able to share with them. It has been a lovely discovery for me to see, you know what, I have thousands of people in my group and we all use Young Living for a different reason. We all do a business for a different reason. And yes, Terry Woods, for sure, it's never too late to work on those gifts. Funny enough, one of the things my husband is doing now is redesigning a chicken coop. So he's going to use his artistic gifts in building a chicken coop, which I love that. In Young Living, well, let me back up. Why an entrepreneur business? E-commerce is at an all-time high, and that's just a no secret. And we've seen it. I know by and large the pulse on our nation and our culture surrounding the coronavirus is negative. There's a lot of like, oh, because of this, and we all roll our eyes. And yet, on a business standpoint, this is a fabulous time on a multitude of levels. Every person has either thought about, number one, everybody's thought about it. Probably about 90% of those people in the last 9 months have purchased something online. And they're doing it more and more and more. We look at if the school system is going online, virtual, and many things that we're doing online, certainly purchasing. I mean, we saw this with Amazon. We see it. Why am I drawing a blank? My mom got me hooked up into Chewy.com, for my pups so that I don't run out of food. It just click. It's super easy. And so many other things. Because of COVID, I didn't want to go to the market and wear a mask. That was just my choice. So I started ordering a lot of things from Thrive Market, and on it goes. So I get more boxes sent to me than ever before. Prescriptions have always been online. Young Living is just a natural progression. We've been doing, obviously, online ordering for 25 plus years. Before it was cool, right? Now it's normal. It's easy. And sharing has never been more simple. One of my dear friends in Young Living, she would say, oh, I grew my business to diamond without social media. You don't need this. Now, this is about 4 or 5 years ago. And now I would say, well, maybe not social media, but you'd probably be wise to use this. This is a great tool because you can so I think all of you, I know all of you on here live, we've all talked via this. You've asked me questions. We've bantered back and forth. Some of you have shared deep prayer requests with me. Some of you have prayed over me over text. I mean, there's so many things we have done. We've bantered together back and forth, not diagnosing because we're not allowed to do that, but we've kind of come close. Like, well, I don't know. It sounds like maybe this. What do you think? Well, show me a picture. We do that. We don't have to be in person. My personality, I love in-person events. I love it. I thrive on them. COVID was hard for me because I was just starting to teach more in public. And then they were like, yeah, you can't do that anymore. Okay. So I'm adaptable. But if you're somebody's like, I don't like in person, like the thought of having to set up a class and put all my oils out and know everything about them, maybe that's not your jam. I got news for you. This is your time to shine. Because more people using oils are more behind the scenes than are like me, my personality. So they're more comfortable with this. They're more comfortable looking up a little information. And if you can just provide the path to do that, That's a beautiful marriage in a business. So e-commerce is at an all-time high. And an entrepreneurial business is an ideal way to go. You know, we go back to divide your business and divide your bread into 7 or 8 portions. I have all these ideas in my head that probably many of them will land on the cutting room floor just because, well, I have a husband to contend with. Not contend, that makes it sound bad, but he's like, oh my gosh, where are we going to find the time for this type of thing? I've always thought, you know what would be really neat? Let's run a laundromat because that's great. I mean, I have these fun ideas and he's going, no. Okay, you have these children to raise, right? So there's that. But even still, let's say I want to open up a restaurant, a small bistro or whatever. I'm constantly on my mom. My mom makes the best bread. I'm like, Mom, you need to do this. And she's probably like my husband, where are we going to find the time and the manpower? But if you start up a business, a true brick and mortar, you're looking at about $20,000 to $35,000 for the startup fee. Easy between product and lease and all of the things. Our friends that run the arcade shared when they got shut down back in March, it was costing them, I think it was like $15,000 a day just to keep doing it. That's a lot. That's a lot. And so you have to have all this capital behind you, all this in Young Living, or I'll just say an MLM, multi-level marketing. In a multi-level marketing, you just need their startup costs, whether it's through a kit, an account, both. Maybe some companies require you to have a big stock, some don't. Some require you to at least have their products, right? At least like for us, oils and a diffuser, maybe thieves in a diffuser, Ningxia, whatever is your jam. And for us, the startup cost is at most, if you have an RA diffuser, what is that? $260, $265. But now they've tiered it, which if you are not already doing a Young Living business, and maybe you'll share this with someone else, and maybe they're not even into oils, the entry level for Young Living is $35. Just to get an account. If somebody is really struggling financially and thought, okay, just to have an account, just to be able to put people under me so that I can start collecting a paycheck, and we'll get to how to do that in a moment. That's a really inexpensive way to get in. In addition, if you are in a community that is needing what you have, you no longer have to help them come up with, the starter kit cost. If you're in a community that has a lower income, we were just in Massachusetts. It's a blue collar state. There's a ton of people on union, and budget is a huge deal for them. And before, looking at the cost of a kit, and I was counsel, you always get honesty from me. When I first started a business, my upline and crossline people, well, you just have to help them find it. Help them find the money. Help them do a yard sale. Help them sell something to get their kit. And then I heard someone who was in network marketing for a much longer time than even Young Living has been around, and they said, stay out of their wallet. That's the best thing you can do for prospective members. Stay out of people's wallets. It's none of your business where they get the money, and you do not need to help them. And I love that advice because now with our different tiers, if I live in a state like I did before and in a community, I can say, well, these are our options. What seems best for you? This is what you're wanting, and here's what you have. And then they can rightly choose for themselves. I'm so grateful that Young Living now has the $35, just a starter membership, and you have a stress away, and you can cherry pick, right? You can get maybe a lavender, get a diffuser, and then next month hop on ER and do something else and just up your supply like that. Or you can do the welcome home. I mean, there's so many different bundles now. I won't even go into all of them because I think all of you know those. And we can find them online. And again, I love that they keep adding to it. They just, oh, you know what our members need? Oh, you know what they need? And they're doing all these different collections, which is so amazing for us. When you do begin to collect a paycheck, I want to touch on this because I want to be very clear. You do need to order 100 PV, usually about $100 worth of product on Essential Rewards so that you can collect a paycheck in the month that your people are ordering. And you want to make sure that you're sharing with your people who are choosing to collect to earn a paycheck from Young Living as one of their sources of portions. That they will need to spend $100 or about 100 PV on product in order to collect their paycheck. I've had people ask, why? That seems so weird, and I'll just answer it because maybe someone's asking a question, maybe you've had this asked. And it's actually brilliant because you think you wouldn't want someone to earn a paycheck selling products that they actually don't use themselves. So that's the other thing, is that all of you who have already your starter kit, as I said, the entry is so minimal. You already have an account. You're very likely already on Essential Rewards. The next step would be just deciding. Just saying, you know what, this actually makes sense for me. I'd like to make this one of my 7 or 8 portions. Now, how do I do that? I could just say, you know what, you just start sharing. Here, send them your link. Okay, we're done. Class over. We're done. But there's still the how. There's still that grappling with, how do I get people? How do I share? What do I say? In today's world, it's a little different than it was when I first started. At least in my community where I live now, I'll say that, because it was so different in Massachusetts. We had friends say, oh, did you move to Massachusetts to grow your business? No, I actually wouldn't. That's not my personality. I just wouldn't do that because it just is not my personality. I went for a completely different reason. A beautiful side product was I shared oils with anybody who would listen. That was part of our ministry, the things that we did there. When you go to a different community, even town to town, you'll find a vastly different group of people. So the way you share is going to be different based on the people that you attract. That's something that you should write down, because that's not something that I've ever heard, not ever, excuse me. I've heard a couple of leaders in Young Living say, you will attract the people who you want to. I could sit here and tell you 1,000 different ways to grow your Young Living business, to start your Young Living business, but there's only a handful of things that you need from me, and the rest is up to you. The how is going to be totally up to you. And before you hang up or stop watching, just give me a chance. First of all, you have to decide. The number one thing is decide. Make a decision. I don't know how many different ways I should say decide. I'm trying to think of if I could speak several languages. I would say decide, choose, make a choice. Have an intention. One of my 7 portions, one of my 8 portions is going to be a Young Living business. Now, you might be laid off, unemployed, have no other portions, but if you say in advance, one of my 7 or 8 portions is going to be a Young Living business, all of a sudden, can I tell you, every cell in your body just felt richer. You just felt wealthier, because your brain was now going, wait, I have 7 businesses? Wow. And what do you all think of somebody cognitively when you're thinking with your conscious mind? If you're thinking of somebody who has 7 businesses, you're already thinking, they must be fairly wealthy, or at least doing well. If I said to you, what's up, this person owns, 7 or 8 rental houses, properties, you would in your mind automatically think, well, good for them. That's great. My point is, as you speak this out to yourself and then to your cells, your brain is already going to be thinking in that mindset. So you choose, you decide. I don't know how many different ways. Probably shouldn't say I don't know how. I'm looking for many different ways to encourage you all to think of 7 or 8 different sources of income. By the way, that can be within your Young Living business. I didn't realize that my passion, my zeal for helping people get free emotionally so that they can do the things that God called them to do in their mother's womb would be an extra source of income. I had no idea. And some people create materials for Young Living, little handouts, little pamphlets. Some people, they host business classes, like how to host, there's all manner of things that you can do within Young Living. Some write books. There's just a plethora. The second thing after you decide is write a business plan. There are many, many Young Living leaders who don't have a business plan. That's just foolish. If you've done step 1, you've decided and you've chosen, this is going to be one of my portions, and then you go, okay, I'm going to go sell some starter kits, and away I go. And you host classes, and you tell everybody in the whole wide world, you take out an ad in the newspaper, whatever you do, but you don't have a business plan, you're going to be like a chicken with your head cut off. You're going to be so frustrated because you have no idea where you're going. The word planner may not be in your vocabulary, but if you go through step 1 and you say yes, the next thing is to invest in a planner. You can get a planner online for free. You can download a business plan online for free. Again, remember e-commerce, it's kind of a thing. And there's a lot of people like me who give a lot of things away for free so that I can encourage you to invest your time in what I do. There's a lot of people who give a lot of things away so that maybe they'll get your business, they will earn your business in coaching them. It's delightful. My favorite is this passion planner because my business plan falls into, with my personality, it's creative, it's colorful, I love it. Mine will look like this, where I have my main objective. My business plan is not very tidy if you see all my papers falling to the floor. But for me, I have my main objective, and I like things to be like a spoke on a wheel. Years and years ago, I did the Ulapalooza with Dr. David and Dr. Troy. They were part of Young Living for a long time. And I love the idea of a wheel because I need it for what I do. I need balance as much as I can have it, where I need to be able to see, all right, am I having enough fun with my family? Am I caring for my family? Am I caring for my physical health? How is my business doing? And all of that. And so I just took that mindset, that idea, and I plopped it here in my planner. And so I can assess, and I do these for 3 months, 6 months, a year. And it doesn't always go the way that I planned, right? Because we can have a plan and then, oh, look, COVID happened. And so now all my classes at Staples, well, I can't do that. But the idea was, I had in my mind to teach classes. So how am I going to do that now that I can't do it in person? On that note, by the way, Staples, they got wise real quick. And so all those classes I was supposed to do, I did like two of them on a video podcast for them. And then they just launched them to the people who were going to come. So it was really cool how they just took it and said, you know what, let's just do it online. It's what everybody else is doing. And we kind of all fumbled through it, but it's what you do. You course correct. But if I didn't have that plan already, I might have just gone, oh, you know what? This just messed up my business. And now I'm just sitting here wringing my hands. I had a plan. You have to have a plan. And it does not need to be where you sit down with a lawyer and this is what we're doing. And you need to earn, get investors and all that. You just need a plan. A couple tips in your plan that need to be there is, what are you investing? You've already invested the cash, purchasing a starter kit, getting into your business, your Young Living business. You've invested At most $300 if you've got the RA diffuser, or if you decided to do the all the points so that you got all the free product for that month, whatever. You already invested that part. But the second investment is your time. This is why you need a plan. How much time will you commit to? The hardest thing about being an entrepreneur is you are your boss, not your upline, not your members, you. You are the boss. And you can only disappoint you. You can only break your promise to you. And that can be tricky because we can make all kinds of excuses. I'm talking to me. I'm looking at me on the screen. I'm saying, Jen, where you did this? Oh, well, you know what? The beach looks so good. It's high tide. It's my favorite. I'm going to go do this when I know I've committed to writing another class. I've totally done that. I'm just tattling on myself so that you guys, if you ever do that, you know, oh yeah, Jen did that. Okay, that makes it okay, but you're in good company at least. But my point is, you have to tell yourself, I commit to this, and this is what I plan on doing. And if Terry Woods, just because you're right in my line of sight right now, so I'm just going to speak to you. If Terry Woods said to me, Jen Weir, I am going to commit 10 hours a week on Young Living and this, great, okay, but it's not my job to call Terry and make sure. And even if she said, hey, would you do that? And I did, and she said, you know what, I only did 5. That's okay. Terry, that you have to tell you that you did that. And then maybe the question is, well, is 10 too much? Is that unreasonable? We don't know. In our income disclosure statement, I have an old one there. It used to say, you know, at this different rank, these are about the hours that people worked to achieve those ranks. That is amazing because it kind of gives you an idea. All right, if I'm looking at the ranks in Young Living, because, you know, then we look at how the average, what folks earn, this is going to be what's required of me. This is about the time investment. You might want to look at that. I'm not sure if the new one has that, so forgive me. I probably should have pulled it up. If any of you have it in front of you or want to chime in with it, that would be wonderful. But I know for me, when I would look at like a diamond rank, it says, I think about 40 hours. Okay, am I physically able to invest that? Am I mentally able to? And is that really something, is that how much I want to invest in this one of 7 or 8 portions? That's completely up to you all. If I'm your upline, please know, if you invest an hour a week, I'm your biggest cheerleader. I'm so excited that you have chosen to invest 1 hour into Young Living. I'm so proud and honored to be a part of Young Living, number one. And so anybody that would invest even an hour of their time, their precious time, into cultivating a beautiful, rich business, I'm so grateful, and I will cheer you on. And if you choose to invest 40 hours, same. I don't look at 1 hour as any different than 40. I mean, besides that, okay, I can do math, it's 39 hours difference. I feel any amount of time invested is a gift. And you will reap the benefits of that amount of time that you've sown. You know what, if you have cedar wood, please use it with me right now, because I feel in my spirit that I'm just thinking there must be somebody listening either now or later that's heard a negative spin on investing just an hour. I'll use my air quotes. Any amount of time that you invest into your business or businesses is a gift. It is time well spent. You will reap it back. No longer should we ever think, well, if you only invest an hour, you're only going to reap an hour's worth of work. No. The mantra that we'll have, the words that we will speak over our businesses, I have invested a full 60 minutes into my business, and I'm going to reap the harvest of a full 60 minutes. Do you feel that in your spirit? Do you feel the difference? It's powerful. This is the next thing. Once you've decided and you've written your business plan, now what you want to do is learn to speak life over yourself, over your business, over your members. Learn to speak life. Understand that the words that you say will either utterly destroy your business or beautifully create this portion that is just dripping with richness and goodness and health and healing. Learn to speak life. I feel like this call today is 10 things that Jen Weir wished she'd learned 7 years ago or 10 years ago when she started using essential oils, and then 7 years when she started doing a business. I didn't speak life. I didn't know about that. I didn't even speak life over myself, let alone my business. And so when I would see numbers dip, I think, oh my gosh, this is terrible. My business is failing. Cancel, delete. Oh my goodness. And now I look at it and I look at every single person in my group and I think, what a gift. And and there's so much gratitude that I have. And if you want to sit with me and we can talk about how to speak life, if you've been in Essentially Free or in the Mending Circle, we talk about our words and our affirmation over and over. But there's a way to just speak life over it and bless it and have so much gratitude for every single person who orders from me. Last month, I believe it was the end of October, I had another shift, and I'll share this with you just so you can get a peek into the how of what I do in my own business. For years and years, I would cringe if I looked at the going inactive list because it's like, oh, they're leaving. Oh my word, they're falling off. That means if you're not sure what the going inactive, it's they haven't ordered for a year or 11 to 12 months. And so then after 12 months, they just drop off and their account goes inactive. And I used to take it personally. And then I stopped doing that because I thought, well, gosh, I have thousands. I don't know half of these folks. And then I realized, well, I don't know what's going on in their life. Maybe they just have a financial challenge. So then it prompted me to start praying for them financially, that they would, if Young Living was a fit for them, that they would be able to do that. And I'd still cringe. And last month, I just had this new awareness that I need to be grateful for their order a year ago still, and the time that I had with them, because they still receive my emails. Maybe they're still on my Facebook group. Maybe they've seen my stuff on Instagram or whatever. Maybe they've watched my videos. And I just wanted to send them, I'm so grateful for your business this last year. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for staying and reading and opening my emails. And I just sent a letter to them of blessing them as they continued on their health journey, wherever it would take them. I tell you, it felt so light. It felt free. And I think of myself as somebody who just sheds a light on things. And just sending them that I just want to bless you in your journey in health. And I hope that you continue wherever it takes you, was another way that I could just shine light on them just one last time until their name dropped off. I heard Mary Young say a while ago that if somebody wanted to leave your organization, let them, bless them as they go, because you only want people who are with you that desire to do so. That was a huge shift for me. I think that was a catalyst for me to be able to just bless and release and truly be grateful. It's just something that we've started doing, just speaking life over your people and over your business and over yourself. The next thing that you want to do is study. in your business plan, I probably should have mentioned this in the second thing when you write a business plan. Not only do you need to commit to a certain amount of time to working on your business, but you also want to study. Our oils, as I quipped earlier, are not leggings. They're not baskets. It's not a quick weight loss technique. It's not any of the things that you see, all the ready-made available MLMs out there. I mean, no disrespect. I speak very highly. I have an aunt who's very high up in Plexus, and she does quite well, and she's passionate about her product. I have really dear friends who sell those leggings. I always get Lulu, I think it's Lularoe or Lulu. I get them confused, and I shouldn't, because they're very soft leggings. I say that just to give you say again?
It's Lularoe.
Lularoe, thank you. Oh, I wasn't even saying that right. Thank you, Terry. There are so many opportunities for a business, an entrepreneurial business, and they're all amazing. It's just that Young Living is so different from all of those. So when I say, well, we don't sell leggings, it's because our mindset has to shift from sales to lifestyle. Yes, you sell abundance, you sell cedarwood, you're going to earn a commission. It is sales. At the end of the day, it's sales. However, it's a lifestyle. In recent months, I've had a lot of my leaders, and there was a moment where I was like, okay, I feel super done with our website. I'm feeling ways about it. I'm usually just whatever, no biggie. And as I pulled back, I thought, okay, let me rightly think about this in an abundant way, in a life-giving way. And I actually became really grateful for how our website is and how slow it is, and how it's not real easy to use on our phones, our iPhones. And the reason is because the people I'm choosing to attract, this is for me, I'm not speaking this to you, but for me, who I have asked for are people who want to sit with me, whether on the phone, over computer, or whatever, and they want to discuss what's best for their health. And they're willing to take the time to listen. They're willing to invest the time that it takes to apply 100 drops of oils a day because they know it changes their body on a cellular level. And so if you can't easily just on your phone and get what you need from Young Living, for me, it creates that kind of customer who needs to stop, look at the website, browse around, really thoughtfully think. It doesn't give place to impulse buy, number one, which I love, because I don't like impulse buying. I don't know if you've ever bought something that's more than $50. To me, impulse buy more than $50, it just drives me bananas, because I think, oh, that was $50. Now I look at it, I'm like, gosh, that's an oil that I probably needed. I did not need those shoes. My husband will laugh. I'll come home with a sack of clothes, and he's like, how much of that do I have to take back? Because I'll try it on, a lot of it's impulse. I'm like, probably all of it. He's like, would you stop? Online shopping prevents me from doing that, by the way. But those are the kinds of members that I have chosen to have, because I take health seriously. You all know my son, we healed him from cancer, number one, by praying, what should we do, God? Number two, we started using oils and radically changing his diet. And the final piece was the emotional piece. That's how I believe it never came back. I'm in this business to help do this to people's life, like switch it. I'm not in Young Living so that I can give them a nice smelling oil and then their house can smell good throughout the holidays. That's not why I do this. And those are not the members that I attract, and I'm absolutely happy with that. If you've ever followed me on Instagram, you'll notice I probably haven't been on in months and months. It's because I decided that's not the member that I'm choosing to attract. That doesn't mean that you can't be on Instagram. If you are, great. There's people who want their oils and they want to just piecemeal and pop in and out. But I'm just sharing with you Those are the members that I have. The last piece of your puzzle for once you decide, you write your business plan, you speak life over it. And obviously at this point, I'm just under the assumption you are using oils already. If you're not, I would say, make sure you do that. And the researching, studying is decide how you're going to go about this. Decide how you'll go about it. I mentioned that most of us are online. It's an e-commerce business. So that is, okay, so we're probably going to be doing this online. Maybe we established that. If you live in a community where it's in-person friendly, maybe that is your jam. When we moved back to Texas, one of the purposes, one of my intentions that I was able to put back in is doing in-person events. And so I have created, so far, 2 in-person. And if one person shows up, I'm delighted. If 100 people show up, I'm delighted. Because I love in-person events. If one person shows up, then it's going to be, we're going to, they'll actually probably be here longer than if 100 because we'll sit, I'll make them dinner, we'll chat, we'll Toby, maybe I'll do a raindrop on there. We'll just have fun. But on the online, if we're strictly doing online, and I'll speak to that now because I do believe many people are in that situation, you need to decide how. Going back to what were you designed to do in life? So this last portion takes a little while. I'm just going to be honest with you. I've lost more leaders because one day they were like, I'm going to do a Young Living business and I'm going to go whole hog and I'm going to do this and I'm going to post all the time on Facebook. I'm going to post all the time on Instagram, blah, 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 and I'm doing all the things. And all of a sudden they work and they work and they work, or because they're like this all the time, they're making graphics or they're posting or they're researching and they feel so tired. And they're not sure what happened. And it's because they just watched somebody else. They watched Jen Weir, what seems like maybe she's posting all the time on social media. I'm going to emulate that and do that. And I don't really like Facebook, so I'm going to choose this other. I'm just going to keep posting because I watched this one guy and he told me I should just post 20 times a day. But if that's not your jam, if you are not a social media person, then it's not going to work for you. You will be exhausted and you'll think, I don't like this business. Well, that's not this business, actually. I'll just so you know, posting on social media is not a Young Living business. It's not an MLM business. It's actually not, what do they call it? Income producing activities. I do Facebook because most of my people are there. Except for last week after the elections, a lot of probably what is our country divided? Like right down the middle, like it's a 50-50. Probably 3.5 of us are for Trump, 3.5 of us are for Biden. Let's just be real on this call. There's 7 of us here. That's literally how our world is right now. So as a business owner, I have to see that and understand I have people who are so angry, which I'm in the emotions biz. And I'm like, okay, I got to meet them where they're at. No matter if I agree with their politics or not, it does not make any hill of beans difference to me. I'm not concerned about who you vote for. I'm concerned about your soul. I'm concerned about your mental health. So when I saw people hopping off and going to MeWe, going to Parler, which I'm like, no, that's just like Twitter. Not mine. It's not my jam either. I created a platform for We're Oily on MeWe so that they could still get their education and it's safe for them. You see, one of my values in life, whether it's with my children, my husband, or my business members, because I consider my members like my extended family, that's how much I love them. I want them to feel safe. If Facebook is not a safe place to receive education, that's great. I'm going to meet them where they're at. For me, online also includes a website. Young Living being one of my 7 or 8 portions, I envision it to be a large organization. I do have a large organization now. And so with that, I thought I need to make space for all these thousands of people who come in, and a website makes sense. A website doesn't get the FDA looking at it quite as much as social media. Just a little hot tip there, everyone. I'm a little bit more liberal with what I say on a website because it's not, you can't shut down my website if I say something that's maybe not in compliant, like you can a Facebook account or Instagram. I still try to be more compliant, but in the event, it's not going to be that big a deal. So for me, that's what I have. And plus on my website, I can send out newsletters. I have a large portion of members who are over 50. And I don't know what it is about people that maybe some of them tend to enjoy getting emails still, reading through them. It's a great, you can do folders, you can save those. It's also how if I do a health coaching with somebody, I email them a special, their own newsletter with all of their supplements and all. That's just what I do. But this is one of my full-time businesses. So for me, if you're listening, you're going, oh my gosh, that sounds a lot. Okay, let's pump the brakes. The amount of time that I have decided to invest is about 25 to 30 hours a week in this portion. So if you are in the camp of investing 5 to 10 hours, maybe building out a website doesn't fit in there, and that's okay. Remember, whatever you sow in, you're going to reap that beautiful benefit. I'm just giving you options and just some ideas maybe to mull around. When I said this portion takes time because it goes back to figuring out your purpose, what you were designed in your mother's womb to do, I was designed to teach. That is one of my highest giftings, is teaching. I literally cannot help myself. I would be like St. Francis of Assisi. If my children wouldn't listen to me, I'd teach my dogs. I'm not even joking you. It's all I can do. When I'm at the grocery store, I think somebody put a clamp over my mouth. I can't help but to teach. I remember I was at a Whole Foods back in Massachusetts, and we were talking about food. This poor kid, he had the worst acne I've ever seen. It was awful. And we started discussing it, and he brought it up, and I'm like, well, what's your diet like? And on. I thought, oh, I gotta go. I'm so sorry. Now I'm meddling. And he brought it up. I thought, don't you know it's your gut? Don't you know that soda that I see sitting there, why do they sell that here, by the way, at Whole Foods, is actually causing this? And oh, by the way, I can tell you have some trauma. Anyway, I can't help myself. So for me, because I know that about myself, I look for ways to teach. Maybe your gifting is sending out, maybe you are a writer and you love sending out note cards. Maybe that's your way to educate. Snail mail is a lost art. There was a season where my middleest boy, my Canon, would go look at the mailbox. I said, honey, you got to get mail, or you got to send mail to receive mail. I said, oh, I'm so disappointed. Always loved receiving letters. Okay, let's see. Janice, you're saying the We're Oily website is great because you can use the info and send it to people since you don't have a site. Thank you for saying that, by the way, Mom. Thank you. I think yes, I'm pretty sure it's my mom. If it's a different Janice, I'm sorry if I just called you Mom. If you ever look at my website and you see something and you want it and it resonates with you or a person, send it, use it. That's what I designed it for. Lord knows I've used other people's websites, right? I mean, we all do. And definitely is that all of the stuff I have gotten from the medical desk reference or the essential oils desk reference or PubMed, some reputable. It's not just something I'm thinking, oh, what can I make up today and just write about this? Or it's an experience that we've had, something like that. So it is legitimate. And it's trustworthy, in case you're curious. On that note, just a side note, don't use Pinterest for your research. Tell your people, let's just Pinterest, just scrap that. You know what Pinterest is great for? House decorating ideas, recipes that sometimes work, sometimes don't, but certainly not essential oil education. It is just not the place. Maybe recipes, right, for diffusing. If you look at my Pinterest board, I do have recipes that I posted up there. But what I've done with my oils is maybe affirmations paired with oils, prayers paired with oils, some of my decrees, that kind of thing. But really researching on Pinterest is just not the way to go. Just a hot tip there. If you sit quietly and ask the question, how should I grow this business? You already have, you've decided, you've written a business plan in there. You've written in that time how much time you're investing. You're speaking life. You're doing your research. If you ask yourself that question, the ideas will start flowing. Be sure you ask that question with a pen and a legal pad and paper in hand and just start writing. Assess all the different social media platforms. Take the time to learn them. What are they for? TikTok, it's like a 2-minute YouTube. Silly. It's like if you paired YouTube and Twitter together and do that. There was a time I did TikTok to just do some videos for the business. I thought, yep, yet again, this is not for me. This is not my platform, and that's okay. There's Snapchat, it's, real quick and all that. There's Instagram, there's LinkedIn. If you were more of a business person mindset, you're attracting businessmen and women, meaning corporate, that might be the platform for you. Also hospitals, that type of thing. Really just learn the different platforms, what they're designed for, and just see. And I know, you've heard it before, but it doesn't hurt to make a list of all the people that you know. It doesn't hurt, and actually, I shouldn't say it that way, excuse me. It will greatly benefit you to make a list of people you know, and make a list of your ideal members. I still have the Boston Red Sox as one of my potential members. I'm just going to tell you guys. You will know when the Boston Red Sox sign up with Jen Weir. I will take an ad out in the newspaper. Because if I can get into the sports arena, I don't care about them using Panaway or CBD. Those people, I feel like sports people have a lot of emotional stuff, right? I'm sure. I've watched football players grow up and be forced into that. I need to get my hands on some people for their emotional healing. That's just aside. That was a little, just to let you know, nobody's out of the realm of possibility. The leader of the free world, maybe you want to write down with every president that we have, you're like, yep, I'm going to sign them up with Young Living because they need common sense. Oh my word, wouldn't that be amazing? Sorry. But it's true, right? Everybody needs some common sense, some brain power. Write down the people who are your ideal people. Are there any questions for me? I really did mean this just to go to 4:15, and look, here we are, 4:30. Feel free to type a question too in the chat or a comment if you don't want to open it up.